can a complete beginner golfer break 100 for the very first time within just a few months of taking up the game? That's what we wanted to achieve with this Project Joe series. Partnering with Cobra Puma Golf, we took complete beginner Joe Brewin. We gave him some fitted new clubs from Cobra. We gave him some lessons with PGA Pro James Whittemore to really try and accelerate his improvement and get him shooting in the 90s within just a few months. And today we've come to Wellingborough Golf Club. It's the final round of the Project Joe series. Joe hasn't quite managed to break 100 yet, but we're hoping today could be the day. So they're on the range now. Let's go and catch up with them, see how they're getting on, see how confident they're feeling of breaking 100.
So I think I'm a bit hard on myself. There definitely has been some progress. I mean, possibly not as much as I thought there would have been by this point, but I think that's down to just a few factors. I think first of all, I think I underestimated how difficult golf is actually. There are so many different types of shots. A main thing for me is the time. You know, I've got a 6-month-old boy now and it takes up a lot of time. It's very difficult to just say to my wife after she's looked after him all day, I'm going to go out for 4 hours now. So that has definitely been the biggest issue, because I've found that when I've played twice in succession, it's been much better the second time. You always think, the thing is, even when you've had a bad day, you always look forward to the next time, because you look back at some of the shots you played, you know, just a sweet struck iron that lands on the green, doesn't happen very often, but you know, they do happen sometimes. And those shots keep you going, they make you believe that you can do it. It's looking for that feeling that when you step over the ball and you don't think, I don't know what's going to happen next. That's what I'm looking forward to not having. And it's still there, but I think if I try and loosen up a little bit and maybe back myself a little bit more. So the clubs are fantastic. I mean, the ones I had before were relics of a bygone era. So, you know, when you do strike with one of these clubs well, you really know about it. You know, the sound is lovely. It flies in the air. It makes you feel good. I particularly like the pitching wedge. I wasn't sure how I would get on with the 1-length pitching wedge being much longer, but actually that's worked out really well. And I do enjoy the 5-wood as well, because that, again, makes a lovely sound when you hit it right. But it's just kind of getting used to those sort of wood clubs off the tee. I'm much more comfortable with that than the driver, for example, usually. So, you know, my aim today is to try and limit the mistakes, try and limit the penalties, because they can really hurt, and kind of hope for the best. It's a bit of a wing and a prayer. I don't think I'm going to do it, but you know, you never know. Hope for the best.
So massive progress in regards to basics, you know, like, so which might sound obvious, but it's very easy to kind of lose sight of them. So like I say, so setup wise, grip, posture, alignment, stance is all improved drastically. So he's much more comfortable over the ball. When he gets it right, it's a marked improvement. Obviously there's still a lot to be done in regards to getting some consistency in there. I think the biggest thing is not to overthink, which is an easier said than done scenario, but like having a bit more of a clear intention, not stalling over the ball. So sort of rehearsals, and this isn't just Joe, this is the majority of sort of amateur golfers, is try not to cloud the mind over the ball. So when we were just talking then about what's the thought over the shot, and he said, oh, I'm thinking of turn, I'm thinking of this, thinking of that. Try and strip that back away from the golf ball. So, okay, so what am I doing? Right, I'm gonna hit the shot, I'm gonna keep myself moving, keep the flow. So the biggest thing with Joe is trying to allow himself to complete the backswing initially, then you can start the downswing, you know, without having that sort of hurried and rushed feeling. Joe can do it. Joe can do it. Yeah. Team Joe.
Right, okay Joe, we're 9 holes in of Project Joe of your last round. How do you feel you've played so far?
It's been a mixed bag. It started a bit ropey. I did have a 9 on one of the holes after getting caught in a bunker, which it did actually cost me about 4 shots in the end. Okay. The putting is seriously letting me down. If I had to predict a score, I would say I'm on for the, you know, over 18 holes in the in the 120s, it would be my prediction.
Well, I've got good news for you, because after 9 holes, you're on 56.
Okay.
So break 100 is still on.
It's still on, and what I would say is that I did get better as the holes progressed.
Yeah.
And I felt more confident going into the back 9.
And you should be on, even if you don't break 100, to beat your best ever round.
Still on for the best ever round. So fingers crossed. I need to but the problem is that I'm 3-putting a lot, and that's costing me so badly at the moment. So if I can knock a couple of bogeys away, maybe even a par, that would be nice.
Okay.
I think we're on for something hopefully better.
Fingers crossed. Into the back 9. Let's go. Okay, so Joe, we finished your last round of Project Joe. How do you think the back 9 went versus the front 9? Do you think you've broken 100 for the first time?
Oh, no, I haven't, I'm afraid. Do you know what, the most annoying thing was that I was actually really confident going into the back 9. I felt like I'd strung a few good holes together, and then the back 9 started badly and sort of continued that way, unfortunately. So I know that my score has got worse, not better, but I'm going to do my best to take some positives from the day. So.
Yeah. Well, let's do the scorecard reveal. Total was 122. So unfortunately, we haven't broken 100. We haven't even beaten your best score of 115. But what I would say is that there's been a lot of factors working against you today. Obviously, the cameras have been following you around. This is a difficult golf course that you've not played before. It's been quite hot, which fatigues you towards the end of the round. So I don't think you can be too disheartened by your experience today. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I think the problem was I was also thinking about the score too much. So I think, you know, when shots were going badly, I think it was getting a bit frustrating, and sort of my head went a bit. So
from the process that you've gone through with Cobra Puma Golf, helping you out with the lessons and the clubs, what have been the real big positives that you've taken away from the experience, and where have you really improved your game?
Well, I know that the score doesn't necessarily reflect it, but I know in myself that I've improved a lot. Today in the round went badly because there are 2 major things that are bad with my game that I knew were bad before this, which is my stuff off the tee, and unfortunately my putting, which the putting destroyed the scorecard. I think it's probably no exaggeration to say I could probably shave 15 shots off the score today easily with not 3 putting and 4 putting even sometimes. But there's lots of positives to take. You know, even today my bunker shots were actually quite good for the most part. Some of my irons were fairly decent. It's just quite hard to recover from a poor tee shot when I don't really use the driver very well at all. So, but plenty of positives to take.
And what are the main reasons you think that contribute to the fact that you haven't managed to achieve your goal in this process?
I think, as I sort of said at the start, I definitely underestimated how difficult it can be. So I've put a lot of focus into kind of my wedges and my irons, but not so much on the other 2 clubs. And because there are so many different types of shot as well to learn, I think there's just too much to learn in a short space of time when I haven't got the hours to put in that much practice. But I'm going to plug away, and I think I'll get there eventually.
And what advice would you give to other beginner golfers just starting out, looking to improve their scores as quickly as you can? What would you say to them? I
mean, without a doubt, get lessons, because it's very hard to teach yourself. I mean, I think one of the main takeaways for me is that I haven't had lessons regularly enough. Obviously, James has been fantastic, but it's all been remote. So there's nothing quite like somebody seeing you and correcting you. You know, even on the course today, you were helping me out with some things, which definitely helped.
It didn't work.
Well, not maybe, but you can't. You're not a magic man. You can't work miracles.
So that concludes this Project Joe series with Cobra Puma Golf. Unfortunately, Joe didn't quite manage to achieve his goal of breaking 100 for the first time, but he's definitely improved in some areas of the bag, helped of course by the lessons he's had with James Whittemore and the new clubs in his bag from Cobra. And maybe you've learned something along the way by reading his online blogs and the experiences today that you could use in your own games if you're a beginner golfer looking to improve quickly. Maybe there's some nuggets there that you can implement in your own games. But that's all from me from Wellingborough Golf Club. I'll see you next time.